So hey, how y'all doing today? This is Shanita T with Network to Network by Shanita T. I am here with Miss Colette Cottman. Did I say that correctly? Colette Cottman. All right, and she is an AI strategist. She is a native of Atlanta, Georgia, right? And I'm gonna just let her just introduce herself. How you doing, Miss Colette?
Am great. Happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me, Miss Shanita T.
I'm definitely glad to have you. Definitely. Um, man, you just don't know how how it is important it is for AI. Well, how important it is for me to bring the conversation AI to my platform, right? It's a lot of people that run away from it. They don't want to utilize it, but if they don't, I feel like in their business they're gonna wind up falling behind. So, if you don't mind, tell us about your business and how you got started.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so funny story. Um, I First of all, my business is called Compass AI, and it really is about guiding people through the AI experience. Wherever you are within your journey, that's where you find yourself, right? But where you're trying to get to, you really need a compass. You need a guide. You need someone that can help you find your way, but at your pace. And sometimes it can feel overwhelming, and then other times you can go down a rabbit hole and just be there for hours just playing. But for many people who are building a business or transitioning out of the military or out of corporate America, it can be the difference between spending years trying to spin up and spending hours and days getting yourself to a point where you can monetize, you can be confident and build. And the way I came to this epiphany was in my workplace. So I transitioned out of workforce development into inclusion and diversity in 2022. And I quickly realized that anything that is not revenue generating for a corporate organization is considered a cost center. And so the time that you spend and the money that is spent on you is very strictly watched. So I had to figure out ways to make the work that I do take as little time as possible and have the most impact as possible. And, one of the things that they taught us in the military, hey, if you're not trying to find the best way to get things done, then you might as well be dead weight. And so I just started trying different things, and before I knew it, I had become that person that everybody came to when they were trying to find a way to use different AI or trying to find a way to make things happen faster or more efficiently. And so as I transitioned out of corporate America, I began to understand just how significant what I was doing had become. So I reached out to a couple friends that were already in business and said, hey, I have this idea, and I know AI, but I don't know business, right? And so that's where I stumbled into a couple of women's groups and have just begun really this journey in business. And so today I'm so thankful to have the opportunity to share with you and anyone who is interested in using the amazing tools that are what AI has become today and really finding their own way and ultimately betting on yourself.
So every successful entrepreneur, and I consider you a successful entrepreneur, I know you consider yourself a successful entrepreneur, has faced obstacles, right? What has been one of those biggest challenges that and that you had to face, and what did it teach you?
Absolutely. So the first thing that I'll share in terms of an obstacle was learning the difference between a hobby and a business, and understanding that everything that you want to do is not going to serve you as a business owner. And what I mean by that is I want to help everybody.
Right.
I want to try all the tools.
Right.
I want to stay up till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning just building things and creating. However, that doesn't serve me, because if nothing is a priority, if everything is a priority, then nothing's a priority. And then if you stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning, 2, 3 days a week, you don't have that recovery time, and your brain doesn't get the opportunity to rest so that you can be at your best. And then the final thing that I'll say is you can't help everybody.
Right.
Because if your focus is on a particular level and people are in different spaces, you're not going to really be able to serve anyone. So you have to really hone in on your offer, on your specific area of focus. Some people calling it niching down. I just call it, finding your space. Where are my people? Where is the work that I do going to be the most beneficial for the people who I can serve today? And so those were difficult lessons for me to accept, because I've always felt like where there's a will, there's a way. Well, there is.
Right.
But you can't be all things to all people.
Right. Everybody's not going to be under your stewardship, right? And that's that, everything has to work for the greater good. I am just now learning that in my business, right? Like I have the capability to do a lot of different things. And at one point in time, I was actually trying to do a lot of different things. But what I found myself is stretched to a point where I was taken from different areas of my life. And I realized it has to be a balance. So now I have learned, okay, yes, I am capable, but does that mean that that I'm going to do it? No. If it is a need for my business, I am going to delegate tasks. I'm going to formulate partnerships to kind of help get what I need to get done, executed. Hence my brand. Your network is your network. I feel like once you've got a group of people to kind of like, or a baseline where you can delegate tasks, then you can actually effectively help people and have good stewardship. We must have good stewardship.
That's right. And you know
Right.
what? That just made me think about, you asked me a little bit about myself, and really I talked more about the business, but I'm going to just back up for a second, because something you said made me think about who I am. And, when you talk about stewardship, beyond Compass AI, my business, beyond being a corporate strategist, I'm my mother's only child. I'm my 2 daughters' only parent. I'm an Army combat veteran. I'm constantly learning. I'm someone that's always been fascinated with tinkering and how things work. But at my core, beyond the corporate career with Microsoft, Fanatics, Allegiance Group, I am someone that likes to bring things together and see people happy.
Right.
So I'm a joy finder, right? Mm-hmm. And also a builder. And when you talk about stewardship, I do my best to ensure that everything that God gave me, I am able to engineer it so that I can do the most I can with it, mm-hmm. and be a steward of my God-given talents and a steward of my motherhood and love on my mother, mm-hmm. in her latter years. And so when I think about challenges, stewardship for me has been a challenge, not because I didn't want to do, but because I had to your point, find what I needed to delegate and mm-hmm. let people be great at what they're great at, and what I need to do in order to be at my best for who I love and who I want to be a steward for.
You have the capability to be super people, but that is not how God designed us to be, right?
Better say that.
Yeah, we're specifically here to serve, right? But he also tells us that we have to share our gifts. Yeah. And so in order, like you said, I have my strength is connecting like-minded people. My strength is, being a good communicator, right? So I could go out there and I could sell a thing and I could communicate and I could bring people together to work together because of my heart. But at the same time, I'm also good at being creative. I'm also good at, doing different things. It's not meant for me to do. It's not meant for me to do. And I'm learning that. I have learned that lesson. So I'm now formulating a partnership, a team, with the network to network. So
Yeah.
was there a defining moment that completely changed the way you think about business and why? Or business or life and why?
Yes. So I spent probably a good 3 months building this entire framework, a full ecosystem, my empire in AI tools. And I even built out all the digital products that aligned to each level. And I made pretty pictures and, I even animated some of them and I put it out there. People responded, but none of them felt like it was worthy of the sacrifice of taking their hard-earned money and spending it on what I had built. Because I was assuming that because people were interested, that they associated a certain value to what I was presenting. And so what I understood from that is two things. Don't build just what you're excited about. Build what the demand is for and what people are already asking for. Maybe in a different presentation or an expansion of what's already out there, or maybe even narrow the focus so that it's easier to digest. But I've learned to listen. Then I speak and understand as opposed to just hearing. Because oftentimes what's not said is the part that people are struggling with and where you really can make a difference. They can't even articulate it. It's so confusing or so frustrating or so emotional for them. And so I've understood now that I can't listen for those things that confirm what I want to hear or just listen to the words that are being said. I have to listen to the sentiment, to the pain, to the desired end state, and to the demand. And that was a difficult lesson. Because, we're creatives.
Right. That goes back into, feeling capable and trying to do it all. And then there was a level of rejection, right? So can you elaborate on the feel in that moment and what you had to do in order to correct that?
Yes. So, first things first, I will say I have never experienced that much emotion around something related to work because it wasn't me. It wasn't from me. Most of the work that I've done in my 15, 20 years of experience has been for an institution, the federal government, the military, a corporation of 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 people. And I was given a part of that business to run. This
Was yours.
from my toenails to my fingertips and everything in between.
Blood, sweat, tears.
Blood, sweat, and tears. You know what I'm saying? I had to change my foundation. I was losing color in my cheeks.
And as a creative, that's hard. That's really hard because even when I was started out as a photographer, I would take 200 to 300 pictures, and I would try to send them all to the client, but I couldn't, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of the pictures they wouldn't have liked, but I liked, right? Because I had this certain persona, right? I had this way of looking at it, and everything was great to me because I did it.
Yes.
But then when I presented it to my client, and it was like, I don't like that. No, I don't like that. I don't like that. And I'm like, it was so crushing, it was like, but why, and I'm trying to convince them, but at the same time, I had to realize in that moment, everybody's not me.
Right.
Everybody is not gonna like what I like. So I had to learn how to consider please the client. And so that's basically what you had to do, is like, figure out a way on how to revalue. And that's hard as a creator. That's hard.
Taking a step back and regrouping. And then the other piece of it was understanding that it wasn't an attack. Right? Even though I put my everything into it and I felt like it represented me, it didn't define me. It was an experience. It's all data.
It was a mindset.
That's it. Even that rejection for me, it taught me how to handle that experience. So then the next time that it happened, I was like, oh, okay, this doesn't work for that. Maybe it'll work for something else. I'm just going to set that to the side and we just keep going. And so now I feel like I've come to a place in my career as an entrepreneur where everything for me is data collection and a movement towards a goal. And sometimes it's the goal that I set out for it to be, but sometimes you have to put that in another category where it does fit. And then you take that step back. It is moving. And then you sit back and say, okay, now what is working that feels good? Where am I well received? Where are my monetization strategies really becoming effective? And then you decide on your percentage of utilization. You allocate your time accordingly, right? Because the ultimate goal is joy.
Exactly. And peace. Joy.
Hey.
So what advice would you give someone who is feeling stuck or maybe afraid to take the next step?
I would say two things. Number one, networking and mentorship. Nothing meaningful that I've built or done has happened alone. Every major opportunity that has come through my business, my personal life, has been as a result of integrating into networks and giving people a reason to want to continue to be around me, work with me, and having outputs as opposed to just spinning. Mentorship expands your mindset, like you said. There are people who are in the same place as you, and they can give you that comfort, right? You can commiserate with them, you can celebrate with them, but if they're where you are, they're probably not going to be able to help you get where you're trying to go because they haven't been there. A mentor knows how to get you from where you are to where you want to go. And then have colleagues around you that challenge you. My marketing strategist challenges me to hone in. I have what she calls a big brain. And so things just constantly moving. And so when I am challenged, I'm like a heat-seeking missile.
Right.
And I go like this. But without a challenge, I'm nowhere. I'm everywhere. And it's all the same, right? It all gets equal focus. Hone in and let those people in your life that care about you, who can challenge you, let them be great at challenging you so that you can move forward. And then love the space that you're in. If your environment is not serving you, it is hurting you. So fix it. And don't feel guilty about spending money to fix your environment, because you can replace it.
Man, when you say don't feel guilty about spending money, so I actually hired a $10,000 business coach. And but a lot of people are afraid to take that leap. But I look at it from this perspective. If you go to college, you can't go for free. You're either gonna borrow money and pay it back, or you're gonna pay upfront money, right? And then you get your money on the back end.
That's right.
But sometimes you don't get anything, but you take
Piece of paper.
that leap, right? And they're not charging you $5, $10, $150, $75 for. No, that's book prices. We're talking about
That's ebook
one
price.
book. That's one book, but you might have 10 books. Trust me now, you might have 10 books that you gotta get, you know? But they're charging you $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in tuition. You will take that to go nowhere. But here's somebody that has done it, learned it, and created a crash course, right? And they're trying to give it to you in a way where it's more affordable for you. So where the college is saying, okay, it's gonna take you 2 years. But here's this person over here that's offering it to you in an 8-week program or a 6-week program. We don't want to
talk about time value of money.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And so that's the thing is
Yeah.
people have to understand when it comes to entrepreneurship, when it comes to business, someone at some point, even when you're dealing with these big major businesses, someone at some point invested, put in the work, made the connections in order to get to the level that they are at.
Absolutely.
So you have to make the investment in your business to get you where you're trying to go. If you're thinking that it's just going to be all take and no give, you're gonna be stuck, you know. And that's why
And if
a
you
lot
think
of people
about
are
what you're
afraid
trying to
to-
do, yeah, but what you're trying to do, what any entrepreneur is doing, you're selling. It's an exchange. So if you value yourself, why wouldn't you value someone else that has something for you that can build you at that next level? If you're thinking about in the moment only, you're going to circle the drain. If you're thinking about long term, if you're thinking about a legacy, you're going to have to invest. And sometimes it looks like instead of, doing something that you want to do, doing something that you need to do, like learn how to be more efficient in utilizing your time in a way that it does provide you with an opportunity as opposed to just time gone. Because it's going to be gone either way. It can be gone with you having invested in your learning and in taking what you've learned and put it into development, or you can spend that time staring at the TV watching 10 episodes on Netflix.
or YouTube.
Or YouTube, because the time's going to pass either way. So if you're going to spend your time, spend it wisely and allow it to feed you so that you can have that legacy. I want it to be that I am a catalyst for growth, for success, for joy, for innovation, for building generational wealth.
Right.
Not just somebody that sat next to, a handsome guy on the couch for 6 hours every weekend. And then, if you leave a conversation believing that you're capable and believing that you can manifest, you can create the environment, the lifestyle, the level of experiences that you desire, then move towards that. That will, like you said, that will require an investment. And it's not always going to be monetary, but sometimes it is. Because people are of value. And so is the information.
Right. Time is money. Knowledge is money. So
Yes.
you just gotta. My dad used to tell me all the time. He's like, you cannot expect nothing free. Nothing. No one is obligated to do anything for you free. So if you want something, you have to have the mindset that I'm going to pay for it,
Yes.
right? And I have gotten to the point where I would say, okay, well, I might not have the money. Can we barter? Because
Okay.
I have a skill, I have knowledge, right? That I know
It's an
is valuable,
exchange. That's
right?
right.
So if you have something like I told the lawn guy today, I was like, hey, he was like, you can help me. You can help me get more clients. Like, yeah. Can you keep my yard maintained for me? He was like, yeah. I was like, well, let's just change contact. It's the same. It's the same. You know? Let's do a little deeper dive. You ready for it?
Oh, here we go. Yes. Talk to me.
All right. What's one business lesson you've learned the hard way that every entrepreneur should know?
Lesson that I've learned the hard way. If it's not making you money, it's not a business. It's a hobby.
Mm.
No matter how much time, energy, investment, exposure, it, a business builds on itself, right? And it's an exchange of information, services, products, energy, and ultimately, you devalue yourself if you do not value yourself. And in the process of building entrepreneurship, oftentimes we spend so much time on processes and tools and emplacements and don't make the main thing the main thing. And in doing so, you do yourself a disservice in two ways. One, all that time that you spent on instrumentation and tools and processes and color schemes and all that, you could have been leveraging your skill set and your networking to create a pipeline, a portfolio, a presence that is going to inject energy into your business. The other piece of it is that was really hard for me. Your family and friends love you, but they know you too well to understand the significance of you beyond the person, unless they are of a different mindset than most people, which is of a consumer. So the people that are going to support you and build you up are going to be the ones who are in that same mindset that you are, as a builder, as a developer, as someone who has a gift that they're sharing and understand monetization, business, and valuation. So don't expect every person that knows you and loves you to be a part of your business. Have expectations of yourself to go out and get it. Funding is out there, but even funding costs. So if you are looking at sponsorships or getting funding from VCs, they want a return on that investment, and they want it threefold, fivefold, tenfold. It sounds great to raise a lot of money, but then you put that on yourself to give them back what they're expecting, and it's usually more than what you have presented to them. So think through where you're getting your money, because all money ain't good money,
Right.
but also understand your limitations as an individual and prepare yourself to delegate, to bring in support, and to have to say no.
I mean, man, you made sense then. All money is not good money. Yeah. Sometimes you gotta walk away. I explain it to businesses in this aspect. You can be in hustle mode or you can be in business mode. Hustle mode is when you're trying to get every dollar that's being thrown up at you. And that will kill your business before it even gets started.
Unless it kills you first.
Right. But business mode, you home in on, okay, I don't do that. No, I'm not gonna, you can't pay me to do that, you know. I hired a contractor. He was originally presenting himself as a handyman service. But it went from that to, okay, now you can build decks and all this kind of stuff, but you're having to hire different people to execute the plan. Instead of just saying you don't have the capability of doing it. So whereas a professional would have had it incorporated, okay, I know I need to carry some material costs, trash, all this. They would have had all of that incorporated. But when you're in hustle mode, you throw a number out there, you try to go after that dollar, and you realize you really lowballed yourself. Or because you don't know the project, you wind up spending more than you would if you would have calculated everything, and so you're left with nothing.
Or in the hole.
Right. So for sure, you definitely got to know what you're doing as a professional and hone in on it, and everything has to work for the greater good.
That's right.
What is the most common misconception people have about your industry that you would like to change?
So that is a very audience specific answer. So for the people who, and we're talking about AI specifically. So for the people who are enthusiasts, who are trying different things, the misconception is that AI is everything, that it can do everything. And so they just put a whole bunch of stuff out there, and before you know it, there's 4 or 5 hours have passed and you've got a bunch of pictures and videos. But where are you going with that?
Right.
You go down the rabbit hole, and to what end? It's like a favorite toy. And then for other people, it is the devil incarnate. The devil. Developers are afraid that it's going to take their jobs. People who have very specific skill sets that can be done by AI are afraid of it. And people who struggle to go from one app to the next on their phone are even more afraid of it because they're just catching up with apps, right? And so I will say 2 things. One, think about the internet. The internet leveled the playing field in many ways. The first way is that it gave access to people who had been denied access. So for decades, for centuries, behind the wall where all the information was. We had to go to the library with the Dewey Decimal System and write on 3x5 cards. And even then, it was what they put in the library, right? The history books were written by the winners. So, but then the internet came along, and you were able to do searches, and you could get information from around the world. You can get information about anything that you wanted, and that changed the value of information that was being held captive. So at a time, the owners of knowledge, the owners of information were in control. With AI, this evolution has created an opportunity for people who have concepts and interests to convert them into action and convert them into a realistic, visible representation of what's been in their head. And that changed from, you can do a search and it gives you what it wants to give you. Now you can leverage artificial intelligence to scan hundreds of thousands of documents
Right.
and provide the answers that you're looking for in minutes. You can provide it with multimedia and create something entirely new with generative AI. You can have an AI project create instrumentation, implementations, different ways of doing things with the right information, questions asked, with the right prompting. And it can also create agency, where before you were limited to what people gave you the ability to try. With agency through artificial intelligence, anyone can try anything and see it happen right before their eyes. So I say that to say artificial intelligence is a gateway. And people use it for good, people use it for bad, like anything else. But ultimately, the jobs that are going away because of AI are no different than the jobs that went away when we got an electric typewriter, right? Nobody uses carbon copy paper anymore, but we still say CC when we send copies in an email.
Right.
People don't use USPS as much as they used to. Now we call that snail mail. That used to be the be-all end all.
Yeah.
But now email used to be called electronic mail. Now email is just email. That's the way that we communicate. So the transformation that is happening is part of the transfer of wealth opportunity
Right.
for this generation. And because it has been identified as something that's only for a select few, everyone else is afraid of it. All you have to do is understand what you would like for it to accomplish for you, or teach you, or expose you to, or give you access to, and it can become a tool towards your goals, towards the targets that you have set for yourself, or even enlighten you on some things that you're good at that you didn't even know. There was a time when I had no idea that I was a teacher. I was an instructor. I worked at Microsoft in community development. The first 2 years I was there, because I'm a people person and I volunteer all the time. And suddenly, during the pandemic, there was no more face-to-face interaction. And my director said to me, "Hey, you're always doing stuff with new things on the computer. Maybe you can help us figure out how to get people to have these meetings on Microsoft Teams." And before I knew it, I was trying all kinds of AI. We weren't even calling it that then, but it was. Siri is AI. Alexa is AI.
Yeah.
Your GPS in your car is AI.
It's AI.
It's all artificial intelligence. When you go to Starbucks and you see up on the screen, sometimes it changes depending on who's in there. It's because it recognizes your order when you scan your app. All of that is artificial intelligence, and the companies use it in the same way that they've used commercials for years. But now we have the capability of using it.
So,
It's for everybody. Is what I'm trying to say.
right. So, how would you suggest? Okay. So, how has networking and mentorship and relationships impacted your journey when it comes to AI and, teaching people about AI?
So it's helped me to understand what the different levels of understanding are within spaces. I went to a conference, the Social Impact Conference recently, and lots of nonprofits are struggling with funding and organizing volunteers. And what I realized is that those companies have not expanded their purview around artificial intelligence to get them unstuck and allow them to focus on the giving and focus on doing good. And with just a little bit of allocation of time and funding to this engine, that can free them up to be exponentially more capable and able to do what they want to do out there in the community. But the fear is holding them back of wasting money on something that they're not going to be able to actually use. And then the other piece of the journey, I'm understanding that people get excited when they see, hey, I can do this. I was just at a National Association of Black Women Veterans Founders Day yesterday, as a matter of fact, and I'm sitting at the table with my phone, and I clicked on my video that I made, a little 10-second video about my company, and there were 3 people sitting next to me, and before I knew it, there were like 15 people at the table, and we all just sat there and made little avatars, and we made little videos, and they were just dancing and singing. It was so much fun. And these ladies were from 75 to 25, all ages. Brought us all together. So that's the other part.
The networking, the networking aspect of it creates opportunities for you, for potential clients. Because here's a place where, like you said, something you just started learning, you didn't know the business aspect of it. But now that you're getting into the business aspect of it, you can actually turn it into a source of income by just doing what you love to do, which is help people.
Yes.
Using a tool that you just was casually learning. It was like,
Hey, what happens if I do this? Let me see what happens. Oh, wait. Oh. Okay, let me add this.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I'll share, there's so many tools out there, but what I've been doing recently is kind of taking what one has given me and putting it into another, and then asking different questions, because they all have different strengths. So if I'm using ChatGPT to give me an outline, I'll take that outline and put it into Claude, and it'll fill it up. But it's so dense that is too much. So then I'll take what Claude gave me and put it in Gemini, and Gemini has great visual capabilities. One of the parts of Gemini is called Nano Banana, and so it takes all that density that I got from Claude and turns it into something visual that's easy to understand and digest. And then I take those images and I put them back in ChatGPT, and it gives me, hey, so this is what's going on in this image. I take what it's come up with, and then I go back to Gemini, and it makes it a video. So I'm able to go between the different tools to do different things that I need done and have better experiences.
So if I was just starting in AI, where would you suggest I start?
Start with having fun, just as a person, just getting comfortable with the prompts. Understand that it is a formula, so you kind of give it a source, what you want that output to look like, and the core, right? That's the start point. And then the next thing that I would begin to do is just play around with it. Give yourself a couple things that you would like to see. Maybe create a playful project and ask lots and lots of questions so that it gets to know the way that you speak, the way that you ask questions, the way that your mind works and your interests. And it will then begin to be more customized to you. So you're teaching it how to respond to you. You're teaching it how to understand your interests. And then choose one more. So instead of just doing one, I would say pick one to start, get to know, let it get to know you, And then try your hand at Ask Gemini. Because we're all used to Google, right? But ChatGPT came out first as the comfortable space for people to try AI. Gemini really has taken that next step in making it very fun and visually stunning with the Nano Banana visuals. If it's a business we're talking about, I would say choose a suite that can help you across different parts of your organization. If you are comfortable with Word and Excel, try Copilot. If you're used to using Gmail and Gemini, I would say lean into Google Workspace and try a couple of those different AI functions within Workspace to do some things that you don't feel like doing and take your time back. And then finally, I would say take a really easy, fun class so you can discover and experience that joy that comes with creating, and also that revelation that innovating can be a good thing, because all change is not bad.
Right. So, question: do you have a class coming up?
So I do. One of the ways that I have been able to give back is to do webinars on different AI experiences that people ask me to create. And so I do have a webinar coming up mid-August where I teach the basics of Gemini and the basics of Copilot within Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. And that at the end, you walk away with having 2 AI productivity suites, familiarity, and a digital product that you can take that's a checklist to try different things within AI.
Super cool. I know I'm gonna get that information for you so that I can leave it for the audience.
Yes.
For sure, because I know I will be in the mix. I will be attending. And I'm gonna encourage everyone that is interested in business, period. Just in general. I think everybody needs to be involved with AI, period. So I'm gonna try to get everybody I can to be a part of that class. But of course, what legacy do you hope to leave through your work, and how do you want people to remember you?
That's a deep question.
I told you it was.
Man, what legacy do I want to leave? And what was the second part? And what do you want? What do I
And
want
how
people
do
to
you want
remember?
people to remember you?
So I think that's kind of a deep question for a couple reasons. One, my parent company to Compass AI is called Legacy Systems. And what I want is for the future to feel possible today for everyone. The future that they design for themselves. Because AI can be fun, but it can also be practical. But at the end of the day, it's nothing without the human. It's nothing without us. And not just for people that are money makers, executives, technologists, but everyday people who have felt in any way marginalized or limited. AI opens up an opportunity for you to take what's in your heart, in your spirit, in your mind, and bring it to fruition. You become the architect of your world through the utilization of AI. And I think for me, becoming an architect of transformation, helping people, companies, businesses, military, corporations transform what is today into what tomorrow can look like in a fraction of the time, limited amount of physical and emotional bandwidth, that leaves room for joy. So I want people to remember me as a person that helped them to find their way in this cloud of AI during this evolution. And then also to be remembered as someone that was on the journey with them, right? I'm learning just like you every day. I got a little bit of a head start. So I can help you, I can be your guide. But ultimately, I want to be that strategist that helps you transform and help people find their way, and maybe be a little bit of a lighthouse and a guide.
That's dope. That's dope. If you could leave our audience with one powerful message that could change the way they think or live, what would it be?
Think bigger. Own your journey. And create a legacy that you can be proud of. And a roadmap for those to follow. I really want to think about this in terms of pathways, because ultimately we make decisions every day about which way we go. What do we decide on? Am I going to get these french fries, or am I going to eat this salad?
Right.
You know, eating the french fries takes me down a path of
Destruction.
at some point, I'm going to have a little acid reflux probably, but that salad,
Yeah.
it's going to go right on. My body will be nourished, and it's probably not going to come back to haunt me. Those fries taste so good.
Yeah, dude.
Right? So
Look,
make powerful choices and really, yeah, exactly. What you consume makes the difference between your today and your tomorrow being fabulous or being frustrating. And so that consumption is not just food intake. It's what we watch on TikTok, on YouTube. It's what we choose to do with our time. Are we learning, or are we solely consuming entertainment, right? Is there someone in my life, energy, that is helping me to move forward that's positive? Is there someone in my life that's draining my energy? They're energy vampires that don't want to see you move forward because you'll be leaving them behind. Not that they're bad people, but choose how you put your energy out there and what you decide to consume. And ultimately, live your best life on purpose.
Man, this has been an amazing interview, Miss Colette. You've given us a lot of insight on various of things when it comes to AI, when it comes to mindset, when it comes to strategy. Tell us, how can we stay connected with you?
Yes. So you can find me at coachingwithcc.com, which is my Compass AI website. You can find me on LinkedIn. My name is Colette Cottman, Colettete, last name Cottman, Cottman, and I'll put my email in the chat. And in September, I am going to be building my founding cohort for our community. So that is coming, but we'll put those announcements out on coachingwithcc.com as well as compassaipro.com. And thank you so much for having me, Miss Shanita T. Look forward to seeing y'all.
Definitely. So we have a Lead to Taste Women's Empowerment coming up on the 27th. So I will be seeing you soon, and get the touch, and can get your energy. You always have good energy. But that is the end of our interview.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you so much for showing up and just giving us a piece of you. Well, thank you so much. This is Network to Network with Shanita T. We just had a great conversation with Miss Colette Cottman. She's gonna leave her attributes in the chat so that you can be able to connect with her on a deeper level. Y'all have a blessed day, and we out.